Welcome to Advanced Broadcast Technologies. I'm your host, Pallab Chatterjee. We're pleased to present some key insights from the IBC 2018 event that was held at the Rise Center in Amsterdam, Netherlands. We participated in the conference in association with Bright Blue Innovation and Media and Entertainment Technologies, which are both media sponsors for the conference. The IBC conference is the largest content creation and media broadcast conference in Europe and has the focus of distribution of content over multiple forms: linear TV, OTT, VOD, and mobile across multiple national boundaries. This regional diversity brings a heightened interest in the quality of experience of the content being delivered and the adaptability of delivering the multiple types of end devices. This episode focuses on two detailed discussions: a one-on-one with Alex Borland of MediaKind, formerly Ericsson Media, and a one-on-one with Technicolor's Gaetan Delcroix, who is about new technology being released for cinema and television marketplace. We hope you enjoy our show. This is Pallab Chatterjee from Media and Entertainment Technologies here at IBC 2018 in Amsterdam, and we're joined today by Alex Borland of MediaKind. MediaKind's a new name for a number of folks in the industry. They were formerly the video division of Ericsson. Welcome, Alex, for joining us.
Thank you. Hi, nice to see you.
So, what is it that MediaKind is showing here at IBC 2018? I think this is the first major European show under the new branding.
Yes, absolutely. It's a really exciting time for us. As you can see, we've rebranded. We have a new brand launch. We did that a couple of months back, and this is the first major show globally for us actually with the new branding. So it's a very exciting time for us. Of course, IBC is a really important show for us in terms of our business. We work with a lot of partners and customers from around the world, and many people congregate on this show. So it's a great time for us as well. So in terms of the industry as a whole, there's a lot of change going on right now. We see that a lot of what's considered the traditional broadcast approach to delivering services, to creating content and passing that through the end-to-end chain. We're seeing a lot of that moving to making use of new technologies such as cloud, such as the internet, and finding new ways to leverage those networks that are available and so widely spread. So we've been investing very heavily over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years now, actually, in developing our platform capability to really leverage that sweet spot, that opportunity of using the cloud technologies and the internet service to deliver content effectively through, including HDR, including 4K, and we were one of the pioneers in actually developing and testing end-to-end, right from the content creation at the camera source all the way through the chain into contribution, distribution, for ad hoc services, through the distribution to the operator space, and then from operators and broadcast down to the end consumers. So we cover our portfolio of technology today, from our encoding and compression technologies that all work in 4K with HDR. As I say, we were one of the leaders in the HDR forums and the 4K forums to really drive these standards through. So we've enabled it. We've been a real enabling force behind some of these technologies, and we are really in that spot now where we can cover the end-to-end chain right the way through, including delivering advertising insertion, including our TV platforms to manage the content, very complex management facilities for the networking and distribution across the internet, and enabling cloud stand-up of new encoding and decoding in different locations from any parts of the world. So because of the global network that's available today, it's really about leveraging that and these data centers, in making use of that technology, enabling operators to stand up and move their business models away from, let's say, buying fixed hardware and installing lots of racks of equipment to, okay, I need to spin up a service in Hong Kong today. I can get online and I can spin up an encoding and I can get the feed coming into the building. I can distribute it anywhere I want in the world and receive it, and I can spin up a software product, a small piece of software in any data center in the world, and receive it in that location. So it's a really great time for the industry. We see that transformation, and we're really in a good spot right now for the future.
So that sounds very exciting for bringing this all together. It looks like you've brought a number of the divisions all under one head for going through. One of the other big areas that's going on here at IBC is not just the operator distributor side, but you were mentioning live and encoding and going through. How is this new integration going to help the people in the content creation, the live production, the live broadcast, which is one of the big challenges, because moving things to the internet is one of the infrastructural challenges a lot of people are learning. It was easier all in studio where I got a hard wire.
No, absolutely. But if you think about it, those studios, those setups, and many of us have come from those backgrounds. I've built studios in the past myself many years ago, but they were very expensive technologies to deploy and to operate and to run, and consequently. And very rigid, exactly. And consequently, you imagine, I know many studios in London and in places like New York where they're booked day and night because of the expense of trying to, make sure they were making full use of those assets and the investments that they'd made. This sort of technology, and with the evolution of some of the content creation technologies that are going to pure software, enable people to start to work from home. So you can create virtual studios with a very little startup cost. And of course, in the future, in the modern world, where content is all about YouTubers building their own content, creating their own content. I mean, companies like yourself setting up. The setup costs today are much lower because of the technology and the evolution of that technology. We're really just making sure that as part of that, we can help them get the connectivity and the distribution, and get that distribution as widespread as possible. So we're really an enabling force of that future, enabling the YouTubers of the future, I would say the semi-professional content creators, and then the very high end, with the sports and the movies, enabling that distribution anywhere, anytime.
So in this new environment, you're basically becoming the infrastructure piece that was the studio. You're basically a socket provider for that, saying, just worry about your front end, worry about your content, and when you connect to us, we can now get it from point A to point B, get it to your storage people, get it to your distribution people, and even get it into your play out with advertising.
Yes, so we don't make switchers, we don't make studio desks, and we're not in that part of the business, but we are in the business of distributing that content to anybody, anytime. So we're really the connectivity to point and the enablers to get that content out, and we with our customers, with our partners, and also ourselves, standing up technologies in cloud that enable the movement of that content to be very free-flowing, very easy to get distribution to the right places very quickly as well. So whether it's broadcast live content or on demand, moving that content around, storing it very effectively, very efficiently, and then onward distributing it to the masses is a very big part of it. So, for example, we have the market-leading cloud DVR solution. So our cloud DVR software technology allows very large numbers of customers and consumers to actually access any piece of content anywhere in the world at any time. So, we have this very dense storage capability and very high throughput streaming capability. So when a consumer's looking on his pad, on his phone at a piece of content, chances are it's come from some of our distribution technology somewhere in the world.
So in that vein, for two issues, in your DVR technology, I'm assuming that includes all of the transcode up in the cloud also for being able to go to the different screens.
Absolutely. So, we enable the contribution operators, companies that need to distribute content or move content from a soccer match that's playing out or a ice hockey match, take that content, contribute it into a studio environment or a part of their network environment, some kind of studio environment that would typically be needed for the post-production work, and do that in an ad hoc way. So, imagine Saturday sports where you've got a number of matches going on from different parts of the country. We bring those all together very effectively, very quickly. We can spin up these capabilities, these distribution technologies very quickly, bring them into a central point, and then from there allow them to distribute it out to an endpoint that's a very vast distribution point that allows very wide level streaming to the end consumers. And this is what I mean about the end-to-end flow, really from camera right the way to the end consumer, all the way through the chain. We have that very strong technology, and as I say, we're very, very much the market leaders in this space today.
Very last follow-up question for that. I had extensive experience before the broadcast side working in traditional enterprise and technology. Their concept of big data is like minutes of live broadcast in this world. And one of the big challenges is bridging that enterprise IP world with this video world, which isn't afraid of terabytes an hour.
We're used to big data. We are absolutely used to big data. But I see big data as something slightly different for me. And this is really about enabling a future for consumers. We see consumer trends changing. My kids are moving very quickly. Their habits are very different to mine in the way they consume video today. They're always on their tablets, on their phones, looking at things. They're texting their friends. They're in social media doing different things. And for me, the really important thing that we've got to find, and we as an industry have to do to evolve going forward, is how do we bring together that experience, that immersive experience for that next generation of consumers, that brings together big data from social media and enabling good video usage, great video experiences and consumption. So how do you make that world work very closely and tightly together, that the consumers really get to see what they want to see at any time? We're bringing the right analytics data together. We understand their habits, their consumption patterns, and actually we deliver to them a great experience that means that they're consuming more content and really getting immersed in interesting content. Whether it's taking things out of the video and looking at individual actors that are in the particular piece of content, and then giving more information about them, whether it's something about the advertising in terms of what that person's wearing on the screen, what jacket he's got. I like that jacket. How do I get hold of it? And immediately bringing that to life. So creating a really contextual video experience that's more than just consuming the video, but actually getting interacting with your friends while consuming the content. So looking at content and chatting with your friends at the same time about what's being seen, making recommendations to your friends. So peer-to-peer type activities as well. I think that's the future, and we've, our big job is how do we really enable that as media kind going forward and give that next generation consumer making use of the big data as much as possible to help them have a great experience.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting talk, and I think people can get kind of a sense for where media kind is going and what it is you're doing.
It's going to be a great journey for us. We have, we've just launched the brand. We're super excited. There's a whole bunch of us in the company that really see a great future for our company. We're already in a great position in the market today. We have a great set of customers that we really enjoy spending time with. But as time goes forward, we've got really good technologies coming through the pipeline, and it's going to be a great time for the next few years. It's going to be really interesting. So watch out.
Earlier this week, there was a press roundtable where they were discussing a number of issues with connected home and higher standards for delivery, quality of experience, and a whole number of topics that we're going through. What is it that Technicolor is kind of trying to highlight at IBC 2018?
So we are highlighting a series of elements. We still have a lot of activities related to HDR, where we present the latest changes and the latest update on how we are now part of the ATSC standard, of the China standards, which is very important topics, and we really now see the quality of our technology for delivering and upgrading content to HDR. That's one of the main topics. We have a series of themes around broadband, which I will not cover there. And then what we mostly show is, in fact, all the change to the market with the Android TV that is currently now happening across the board, where we see really many hybrid boxes coming up to market. And these hybrids really carry the full set of services behind one single remote, with a lot of complexity, including all the various CAS vendors that we have and different UIs, but having one device supporting all the services, and now including also the assistant services that are coming on top, and integration of what I would call now video services such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, Dazen, all these kind of elements.
So as these Android set-top boxes come into play, I know that Technicolor has been addressing content delivery and content globally for decades. They're kind of the leader in that. One of the challenges for set-top boxes is all the regional nature for it. With this Android set-top box, is it going to present more of a uniform or familiar UI across regions for people, or is it just going to still allow for more localization, that in France they can have their sort of television and apps, and in Belgium they could have their own? Is it going to help homogenize things or help localize the set-top box market?
So the short answer is that yes, the localization is possible. Okay. The big difference is that in the past, everybody was building his own solution from the ground up. Okay, they were starting from a proprietary OS and later with a Linux, and they were doing all the stabilization, doing the integration of their services, and then they were starting to build an UI on top to have a closed ecosystem that was completely carrying the service of the operator. That really was the before Android. Nowadays, with an Android, Android is mostly a platform. Okay, it's a platform that brings all the technicalities. So all the aspect of having an OS that is running, that is stable, that is able to decode the video is provided by this platform. And then, on top of that, the operator can really concentrate on delivering his services. And the main concept that is being changed by Android is that where before we had a monolithic OS that was having the various elements inside and you had to do a full validation every time you had to add a new services, here we are entering an app world where a service is an app. Okay. Which is a key difference, because suddenly you validate one time the device on the network, and then you can update the experience. From a graphical standpoint, the launcher is an app, but then you are adding new services. You add Netflix, you add Dazen, you add Amazon Prime. It's just adding a new app. It is as simple as when you get a phone, you're adding your apps. Here we have the opportunity for the operator to add these elements afterwards, which is in fact bringing a lot of flexibility for the marketing team of an operator, of being able to completely split the thinking about the platform development and being pushed to the market, and after the service deployment that is just apps that are coming on top, which is allowing to have a much more quicker time to market, lesser impact for things, and a more personalized depending on the various user, various demographic.
So now switching to the other topic that was in place, and that is HDR. Yes. And HDR is a very interesting thing from a content and quality of experience point of view. A lot of the people who are creating theatrical content are very concerned about how it ends up looking when it gets into the home because of the bandwidth limitations and carrier equipment and things like that. In the HDR environment using these new boxes, is that going to be improved? Is there progress being made to help that for the content creators?
I mean, as Technicolor, we value a lot the content creators. I mean, it's part of the DNA of this company that has been, mastering colors for theatrical from the day one, for over 100 years. And clearly, I mean, we know what is grading, we know what is the importance of respecting the work of the artist that is providing the content. And that is where, I mean, our scientists have been spending a lot of energy and a lot of thinking on how to make sure that in fact the quality is being brought to any TV set. And what we are showing now, I mean, with our various technology, is really how we adapt ourselves thanks to the dynamic data that is provided on top for the HDR processing, is this capacity to adapting to any screen that are available and to make sure that we provide a beautiful experience.
In that beautiful experience, is it just the visual, or is it also going to be extended to the sound experience that goes with it?
The part that we have been really focusing is the part of the visual aspect. I mean, we know that the Dolby people typically are also working on the audio part. It is not something that we are doing in our rendering is mostly focused on the image quality and rendering the best as possible based on the screen that you are using. And what we are also helping is how, with some of the technology we have and we are offering as tool is really the capacity of converting, because most of the content have not been shot in HDR. Okay, so how we upscale all this content in batch or on the fly to make sure that in fact we are providing the content so that it can render goods on an HDR. Because if the people are not watching HDR content on the HDR TV that they've been purchased, I mean, they will not go for that technology. We will not get a lot of hype around it until there is a lot of content where the people can enjoy it. So with our upscaling, it's really helping to have as much as possible content with the right level of quality so that the people feel suddenly when they buy a new TV set the benefit of the HDR.
Thank you very much for your time on this and all
Thank
the
you.
great work you're doing in these two areas.